Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning into this edition of Reporter's Notebook. I almost said what the politics. That's why I paused, because I have my podcast co-host with me, Miss Emily. Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
You know, I am doing a lot better because it's 90 degrees outside.
It is so beautiful out. Almost a little too hot for me, but it is beautiful.
See, I'm the opposite. I like when it's like 100 degrees. So,
oh gosh.
Yeah.
See, it's a good day though, because, okay, so yesterday when it thunderstormed, I didn't know it was going to rain because I should have watched our Storm Team 9's weathercast, and I didn't, so I had no idea it was supposed to rain. And I left my car window down.
Emily.
And my car got soaking wet. My personal car got soaking wet. So today's the perfect day to air it out.
That's
so I'm grateful for that. So I got all my car doors open right now. Hopefully it's drying. It smells horrible in there. So
yeah, that's always the worst, when that after rain smell. When
oh my gosh,
when it
yes.
car.
And I have cloth seats, so it just soaked right in.
That is unfortunate.
Yes, but I'm grateful for this beautiful weather today. So hopefully it'll dry it up
I think
a little bit.
Hopefully by the end of the day it will.
Right.
And I invited you on this edition of Reporter's Notebook because we just finished recording our podcast.
Yes.
For What the Politics, and the topic was about Biden's first 100 days in office, but we also got a little bit into whether or not Biden's presidency is unifying the country, dividing the country. And from our conversation that we had with our guests, it seems as if it's just stagnant right now. How are you feeling about this?
Sure. I think, so we got to talk with Dr. Francia. I don't know if we said that, but so Dr. Francia, he's a regular guest here at WNCT. We love him. He is a great political analyst as well as a professor at East Carolina University. So what he was kind of saying was that, you know, unfortunately, there's not really any one president that is able to kind of unify the country right now. We are just so divided that it's just not going to really happen with one person saying, you know, we should come together. And as nice as that is, as much as we want that to happen, it's just, unfortunately, we're just so divided right now that it's a tough one.
It is a tough one. And he said that this isn't anything that's not anything. It's not new to have kind of these. So we talked about a few policies, and some of the policies that President Biden enacted reversed some of the policies that the former President Trump enacted.
Yes.
And so it's not necessarily a new thing for a president to reverse some of those policies. But what is new is the amount of executive actions that President Biden took place. I think it was 42 was the number.
Yes. So I think within his first day, it was somewhere around like 20 something like that, right? And then now up to the 100 days, it's at 42 right now. So like you said, that's the most of any president in the history of ever. I mean, he already surpassed every president with his first day of his executive orders and the amount he passed. So it's significant. And we've even talked in one of our other podcasts and mentioned it here on Reporter's Notebook about, you know, we discussed if the number of executive orders signed, if that really means anything to gauge the success of what that presidency is going to look like over the next 4 years. So we kind of also took that and also we're like, well, can we look at it the same way with the first 100 days? Can you really kind of gauge the success of that presidency, the success of that administration with the accomplishments or what they were able to accomplish within those first 100 days? So it's kind of interesting to see, comparing them to different presidencies and seeing, you know, if we're able to find a correlation with this data or not. So.
And then we also analyzed a few policies that kind of took place. I'll name one of the policies that we talked about, or some of the policies that we talked about, and then you can name one of the policies. But the one that really caught my attention was some policies and legislation surrounding climate action, and whether or not President Biden was sort of appeasing, I don't know if that's the right word, but appeasing the people within his own party about some of the climate legislative actions like rejoining the Paris Accords and then stopping the Keystone Pipeline, whether or not that was showing promise for his own, or signaling promise for his own Democratic Party that he was going to take more action to address climate issues. And we kind of explored why or how President Biden how those policies I don't want to give it away because we talked about it in our podcast, but I'll give this part away because we talked about a lot more in our podcast. But basically, those policy actions, even within the first 100 days, are a promising sign to people within the Democratic Party that he's going to take, really, really strong steps toward addressing climate issues. So that was one of my key takeaways. I don't know what one key takeaway for you was.
I had a lot of key takeaways, but I think something interesting. So one of the questions I asked was, we're still in this pandemic. Of course, people are getting vaccinated and businesses are opening back up and mask mandates are being redacted in a lot of places. But we're still in a pandemic. So what are the chances? Of course, our Congress is so divided right now. What are the chances of, I think it was the fourth stimulus relief package that we talked about. Yeah, the fourth one. What's the possibility of that fourth one being released at all? Is there a possibility of it even coming up in discussion within Congress? Are they even open to having a discussion about a fourth stimulus package? And, Dr. Francia kind of explained that, as much as that would be helpful, you kind of also want to hope that our country is at a place in the next couple months where we don't need that anymore. So I thought that was a really interesting point he made.
And he made the information very accessible. He made sure to clarify his points a couple times because it's hard to talk about these policies, especially when it's such a broad topic as the first 100 days, because you're not talking about one specific topic. You're talking about a variety of policies and whether or not those policies are showing any sort of promise in Congress being put place into American legislation and laws and relief efforts. It's very, very broad. But at the same time, I believe we touched on a few key issues that hopefully people can listen to and take away one thing that sticks with them, that they know a little bit more about American politics and what's going on, because that's really what this podcast is about, is trying to provide this information in an accessible manner. Because sometimes you see something on the news and you get 1 minute to hear about it and you're like, what does that even mean? Right? I mean, I'm in news and I'm like, exactly. I'm like, wait, no, I need to go a little bit deeper into that because this is just 1 minute of a soundbite about a piece of legislation that, wait, what was that legislation? I don't even know. So thank you so much, Emily, for joining us.
Of course.
And of course, you can tune in to What the Politics at WNCT.com. Yes, and we're also available on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. So you can download those apps and listen there. All right, everyone. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your Tuesday evening.